welcome back. Hope you're having a good day. Say root over little Spongebob statue plant I started a little while ago. Just trying to have a little fun with it. I in fact did start this. I tried to start this one as a cascade and it just wasn't really working out all that well. And where I had it sitting, it had a ton of escape roots. And so it had a lot of long trainable roots on there with a decent size trunk and everything. And so I just decided to go ahead and put it over this little statue I found. Appears to have come out of a fish tank maybe. Sometimes you can even see a little more from the side. First thing I'm going to do, I noticed at times that the roots were looking dried out, and also of course through the summer here in Florida they were getting a bunch of sun on them. And so I just kind of put these little, this is just a piece of pot that I put in there just to create some shade. And I've taken a couple peeks, and they really do seem to be doing an excellent job at what I wanted them to do. All right, let's take a look at what we got here. And see, even in here, as I mentioned before, where I said that it's showing some age, it actually has some dead parts. Just cleaning it up just a little bit. I don't even want to take a tool to it. One day, obviously, I'd come in there with knob cutters. I would like to get maybe a little bit of this piece here. Just kind of sticking up. Come in here with knob cutters or something, but right now I just want any kind of live cells that are going to grow and help heal that up. So I'll leave all that. This is where the one piece of the plastic pot was. And you can see the, I did encourage that root to go back into the hole there. Porthole, I guess. Can't really show the front until I get it pruned. And even then when I get it pruned, I'm not really sure how easy it'll be to get, when I say the front, the other side. I wouldn't be able to choose the front on this till I get it out of the training pot one day. But got a good root going down there. I had that other piece of pot up here trying to hold on to some of those aerial roots and push them up against the statue a little bit more. All right, and then the plan is give it a good hard prune. These ficus trees, pretty much anytime you prune them, you get back budding. Well, I will here in Florida and everything. But I find that sometimes the branch actually will seem to be kind of lignifying below wherever the last kind of like live leaf is. And even right now, again, spring is so prevalent in the air here in Florida and everything. There's a little tiny green bud there, and it's even just starting to spring out there. So I find that some of the best back budding is if I could take most of the branches back to the end of the green. And then I haven't touched it since I repotted it, with the exception of, I do believe that there was a couple of really odd looking shoots that I cut off at some point. But basically just give it a good hard cut back. Some of these smaller ones have leaves all the way to the end. I don't want to cut them all the way off unless I plan on eliminating that branch altogether. I was thinking about trying to work with this one, but I actually think it's a bit of a bar branch to this one. And it's so small and spindly, it's kind of out of scale right there anyhow. The plan is now, some of these roots out here, when they get adventurous like this, I mean, these are obvious aerial roots, and then you can even see a few leaving from the stump itself. They get kind of wandering, and I don't want them going out towards the edge of the pot any more than necessary. And I have enough room in the sides of this. This was kind of the plan, where I could maybe slowly just kind of lower the soil level a little bit without having to disturb anything and actually raise it. After I lower it just a bit, I may raise it a little, but I do have it tied in there with this. I'll probably save that till next year after I make sure it's a little more bound in there, although I can see it's had plenty of root growth and it is fairly bound, but I'd like to keep it as still as possible. I just went back and watched the original video, and it actually has slid just a little bit off the statue there some. All right, and here we go. I think I'm going to take out quite a bit from the edges here, and then I'm going to put, probably not going to put the one pot back that was in the front, but I'm going to put the one that was here and try to put some substrate just right around that porthole there and give this a little more to grow into. I don't want it to completely cover it up because you don't want to hide the porthole altogether. You want to be able to see that. But just a little more growth in there I think would help before it all starts kind of going down. It always tends to, except for the adventurous and the aerial roots. All right, and that's about what we got there. Did a little testing of the wire. Even though I do believe I had it a little more upright on the statue before, it was cutting in a little bit there, and I went to unwind it a little bit. I was going to go ahead, cut that off now that the wire's out of the way. I was just going to see if I could reposition the wire a little bit so it wouldn't be right in the same spot there, and just kind of realized that the wire's kind of unneeded. It is good and solid in here. I loosened it up just a little because I do plan on raising it some. I did have the secondary wire here holding the statue in. I'd like to leave that there. I'm not going to put any more substrate on it, but I would like to put one of those black pots back and just create a little more shade. I don't know if you guys can see, there's a couple of roots going through some of the cracks in the skull, kind of the ridges in the pineapple, if you will. I'd like to save as much of that as possible, but I did notice that I could get just a bit of movement out of it. And sometimes with some of that, when you do that, a tree like this will go through a little growth spurt because it's got to regrow some roots. Sometimes I don't know what everybody's fascination with keeping a tree so still in the pot is, but you have to understand that I'm in the tropics and I grow trees that do well in the tropics, so kind of another part of it. Alright, and that's what we got. Some really dense roots on this side. I think that's kind of why it pulled itself off the statue that way some. Wire is pretty much completely off now, but I am going to use a little bit just to try to shade this section again. Yeah, I guess it really only kind of lines up there. That's the most important part. I want to get a good root into that porthole there and just kind of loosely tie that into place. Alright, that first bit of the video was shot at the beginning of February, and here we are now getting towards the end of March. It's where I put put that in place. Actually, I can untie that just to... When I edit this video, I'll even be able to tell for myself to see if I can tell any difference there in the roots or not. I don't know if you guys will be able to notice just over a couple months, a little less than a couple months. One thing I've been trying to do is have enough patience to shoot the beginning of the video. I've had a few of my friends tell me that sometimes, you know, right at the end of those, just like, you know, 2 minutes ago there in this video, this thing had no leaves on at all, looked the worst, or right after I did all the work. This is what happens afterwards. Sometimes with these smaller trees, I have a bigger tree that I need to find the patience to do it to. I might even do that later tonight. But on the smaller trees, you know, like this here even was the longest shoot, coming right out of a bad spot right there, and it's still young enough. You know, they're only a couple months old where I don't even need the pruners to do it. I just pop them right off. And just kind of come through now, since I've got it in here anyway, and try to take out some of the growth that I would not want to keep. Some people say that it wastes the tree's energy. In some ways, every leaf does not, you know, every leaf provides a tree energy. But at the same time, you want it making the energy or putting the energy into some branches and leaves and things that are going to be kept. So that's what I'm trying to take off now. You can see here like a bunch of growth coming from the inside. There went a little moth. The inside of a curve right there. And at a time like this, I'm not too worried if I don't get every one of them. This is all coming out on an old wound there. Last year I really didn't do this much at all with this tree, in the interest of just trying to get it to produce as many roots as possible. But I think within a year or two, I'm going to try to expose the Spongebob's house there a little bit better. And so I do think I'd like to go ahead and try to start shaping the top a little bit better. Be a little bit of a almost nest there where that moth was hanging out. Gonna get a close-up look. Already got a couple weeds going in there. And like I said before, I do wish it was a little more directly on top. But now that it's got, you know, these roots going in the porthole here, see a couple of roots kind of working their way around to this one. That'd be really cool if I could get some going in that one too. But sometimes you just got to take what the tree will give you. I know now if I just kind of let this thing just go for a while, the more leaves there are, the more roots the ficus tree will put out. So hopefully some start maybe even firing off this side of the tree. Just see what happens. Odd enough.